Hey guys, Jim here. Welcome back once again. We're going to take a look at something that I consider to be very, very special. If you go back a couple of years, go search around YouTube and you'll find the very first Decepticon knife that Alexey Konygin built. It wasn't on my channel. There's a gentleman, I believe in Russia, that got his hands on it because Alexey is from Russia. I'm making that assumption. And most of us that saw that video went apeshit. Went, oh my God, I've never seen anything as amazing as that before. All of the detail, all of the work, the layers of titanium and the design, it was insane. And then a lot of us tried to reach out and tried to get a knife. And it was impossible. There was no email address. There was no way to get a hold of him. And luckily, a little over a year ago, I was lucky to start having conversations with Alexey when I got the Decepticon 1, which was the Midtech knife that he teamed up with Custom Knife Factory to build. Now, you guys have seen my video on the Decepticon 1 and the Decepticon 2. These are both Midtechs. What you're seeing in front of you, however, is a full custom. And there are actually a number of firsts for this knife. Alexey let me know that I'm actually the very first American customer that he's ever built a custom knife for. So, I mean, it's such a great honor to be the very first person in the U.S. to get their hands on a build from Alexey. Number two, this was the first model that he's made in a flipper. If you look at the original Decepticon and the first couple that he made, they were manual opening with a very large opening in the blade, more along the lines of the Decepticon 2 here. So they had that big hole in there, and you would open it that way. I believe there was also a thumb stud on a few of those as well, if I'm not mistaken. They were all built on washers. They were all still a really great, smooth, awesome knife. This is the very first time that Alexey has ever worked with bearings. So what he's created here is an insanely fast, incredibly smooth flipper in a really great EDC size. Alexey likes to make really big knives. If you look at his Crow, the Crow, I believe, has a 7 or 8 inch blade on a big giant folder. It's insane. I had a chance to handle it at the Blade Show last year, and it really is as insane as the pictures would lead you to believe. What I appreciate about this knife is not the fact that it's the first in the U.S. or the first flipper or first bearings or anything else. It's just the fact that it's so incredibly well made. Now, a few of you guys might know Civi over in France. He actually had gotten his hands through a dealer on the prototype for this model. And that was obviously the very first. It was a flipper and had the triple grind. And he even put a Timascus clip on there like he put on mine. So it was very, very, very similar. And that was the original prototype. This was the first production. I don't even want to say production because it's a custom knife. But it was the first one that he made after that prototype. It is everything that you would hope it would be for the amount of money that he charges. Now, I want to be very clear. His prices are not that much higher than the original Decepticon 1s. These were, God, what were these, $10.50? I think these were $10.50. So these are not that much more expensive. The problem is getting on his list. Now that he has opened himself up to that, he's got about a 2 to 3 year wait. I actually have a few friends of mine that I kind of called up and went, hey, Alexey's going to open his books soon, so if you want to get in on it, you better hurry. And when I heard from them, they were 2 years out. So if you get the chance, I would definitely tell you to do it. Let's get a couple of nice close-up shots here. First, we'll look at the amazing grind on this. Now, this is a 3.5 inch blade. It is substantially smaller than the Midtech variations are. Great finish work on there as well. There is Alexey's signature. So if you get a custom, that is how it's going to be represented with his signature. There is his signature pivot. Now what he's done on the inner frame is he's done a very light purple. He knows that I like purple. I had my Midtech customized by Custom Knife Factory to kind of go along with the real Transformers theme from the original generation. So he wanted to put a little light purple on the inside frame, and it gives you an idea of the layers that are at work here. And there is the rear hardware that matches the pivot. The bone-structured back spine or back spacer. You'll notice things are a lot more rounded off than on the Midtechs. The Midtechs are very squared on everything. And Alexey likes to kind of round things off a little bit, make them a little bit softer in the hand. He was kind enough to gift me the Timascus clip on there. He did not charge me extra for that. I thought that was really damn cool of him. And you can see how it's actually affixed here. So you've got your main point of contact here, but if it was only that screw and it wasn't pocketed into the frame, it would swivel. So he's got the extra piece of hardware right there that keeps everything stationary. Beautiful work all the way throughout this entire knife. Very sharp, by the way. Great edge on it. So essentially what you have when you have the Decepticons is you have a titanium frame lock flipper for the most part with overlays. It really makes this a liner lock the way that it's built, but what you see here on this skeleton on the outside, or the exoskeleton I guess, would be a titanium overlay on top of the main frame. You can see the contact point for the back spacer here, and the other contact point is obviously there. And he has a pin running all the way through for support. Very large stop pin here for the blade. It's actually really large. And what's interesting about the inner frame where it's done in that light purple, sometimes it picks up colors of bronze, sometimes a straight brown, and sometimes you don't see the color at all. And I noticed this when I was doing my initial photography on it. It was really hard to get the colors to pop in all of the individual pictures that I took. This is an exceptional work of art. I'm not going to talk too much about the design or the making of it because I've already pretty much covered that in the two preceding videos. Let's give you a size comparison here. Put that guy there. Bring out the Decepticon 2 and the Decepticon 1, both of the Midtechs. And we'll put these butt to butt as all things should be. And you'll see, yeah, it is considerably smaller. It does not share that lowered cant that the original had. And it doesn't have that kind of crazy banana style blade that the Decepticon 2 had. It really is its own unique style. I would have actually had this a lot sooner, but let's see what's inside the back spacer. Has the build date. If I can get the camera to focus on it. It's hard for me to see it there, but it was built in March, and this is the middle of July. Basically, when he completed the knife, he says, hey, do me a favor. Can I take this with me to a couple of knife shows that I'm going to be attending? I'd really like to show it off. He had built 3 at the same time. One I know that was larger. One I think that was the same size as this, but a little bit different. And then obviously mine. And he wanted to take them all to these knife shows that he was attending. I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem at all. That's, I'm happy to help you in any way that I can. It ended up taking a lot longer to get here than we expected. He was having issues with Russian post and everything else. And listen, getting shit from Russia isn't fucking easy. It is a real pain in the ass. Every time Mike from Custom Knife Factory sends me something, it takes a little bit of work on his end. I usually get it in about a week, 6 to 7 days. This took a little bit longer to the point where I was starting to panic a little bit, like, oh my God, when the hell's it going to get here? So when it showed up, it was a complete surprise. I'd already forgotten about it pretty much that week and wasn't expecting it, so it was a really wonderful surprise to receive it that day. Now, being the first time that Alexey had used bearings, he wasn't really sure what to do, and there was one of the requests that I made. I said, would you mind making mine on bearings? He's like, well, I've never actually worked with bearings. I don't have the equipment to set bearings. And I didn't hear anything else back on that. He started building the knife and doing everything up, and I was getting some work in progress pictures. And I get an email or a private message from Mike at Custom Knife Factory. He goes, I've got a surprise for you. And he says, I'm supposed to hold my tongue, but I can't. You're going to be the first person to ever get bearings on an Alexey Custom. I'm like, no shit, how did that happen? He goes, we let him use our equipment. We showed him, what we do when we assemble our knives. And voila. And I gotta tell you, it is damn perfect. There is no play in the pivot whatsoever. And once the knife is locked in, there's no up and down play. It is just perfect. It's got the perfect amount of tension on that pivot, yet it remains loose enough and smooth enough that you can just drop the blade under its own weight. Again, this is not an indication of quality. When I'm doing this, it's not to show you the quality of the knife, and it's not something that you're ever going to probably do in your real life, but it's to show you, because you can't handle the knife through my camera lens here, it's to show you that it really is that damn smooth. It is an incredible action. It almost feels soft as it hits that stop pin. And I'm going to have to assume, like anybody else, that is a steel stop pin, but it almost feels like titanium or steel hitting titanium. It has a soft sound and a soft feel to it when it makes that contact that I'm not really accustomed to. So it's just different. It's wild. It's crazy. And as much as I love my other knives, I've had a really hard time putting anything else in my pocket ever since this arrived. That beautiful clip. Oh, hello. It's a great carry size. There are times that, I do want to carry my Decepticon 1, but it's really, really heavy. It's pretty damn big. And I end up sometimes just carrying something different. This I don't have that issue with. The Decepticon 2 is an even larger knife. I mean, it is really, really long. It's lighter weight than the Decepticon 1, but it's a really big knife. So I don't always feel in the mood to carry that. I like a 3.5 to 3 3/4 inch blade. That's kind of my sweet spot. It fits my hand well. It fits my pocket well. It just kind of does everything that I want it to do. And this size is absolutely perfect for me. So I wanted to get the chance to show you guys the beauty of his work. Not a lot of people have had a chance to handle his customs, being as far away as he is and as far removed from, our end of the knife community. So I wanted to make sure I got this video done fairly quickly. I actually bumped a couple of other videos that I'm supposed to be getting done in favor of showing you this one, because it really is that wild and it is that cool. And it's not completely impossible to get on his books. So if you really want to order one, I'm not going to promise it to you, because at this point, middle of July 2015, he may have already closed his books, but last I heard they were open, but it was a couple-year wait. If you're watching this video 6 months later or a year later, good luck. It's probably not going to happen. But, definitely do your best. If you've ever wanted to get something wildly different from everything else in your collection. I'm not saying that this is going to be... You know what? I don't even want to paint myself into that verbal corner either. It is a friggin' amazing knife, no matter what kind of design. If that was just a full handle, everything about this knife you would love. But to look at it, it's completely different than anything else that you have in your collection. Even if you own the Midtechs, there is a striking difference. I don't know that I'm even going to carry my Midtechs anymore, because this is just so much of a better size and so much of a better weight. And oh God, oh. And you do that and you feel it open and you feel it close and go, holy shit. This is as good as any $2,000 custom I've picked up from any other custom maker. You'll pay right around $1,100 to $1,200 for one built like this. That's a really great price when you think about it. And also, I have to stop for a second and give respect to the guys at Custom Knife Factory that made the Midtechs, because there is not a night and day difference between the custom and the Midtech. I'll be perfectly honest with you. It is an exceptional knife. It definitely has some special things about it with the grind and the way everything is rounded off and the weight balance and everything. It is a spectacular and special knife. But it's not like going from a $20 flea market knife to a $2,000 custom. It's not that night and day. So if you never have the chance to get a full custom built, you should realize that if you can get your hands on either of the Midtechs, both of these are sold out, but people do sell them from time to time. If you get a chance to get your hands on one, you are getting damn close to the quality of the full custom. And I think that's pretty damn amazing. I mean, even down to the fit and finish, the work that they put in at Custom Knife Factory was amazing. And I'll stand behind that. And it's even easier to stand behind that now for two reasons. Number one, I have the custom right here to do a direct comparison against. And number two, for the few trolls out there that have just been happy as hell to tell people that these aren't just, you know, they're not just machining the parts in China, but they're building the entire knife in China for the Midtechs. Absolutely not true. And the reason that I know that 100% without physically standing in their facility is knowing that Alexey was able to go down to Mike, go to their facilities, do the pockets, put the bearings in on my full custom. He didn't travel to fucking China. He went to his friends in Russia, where he lives, and they helped him set up my knife with bearings. So yes, while the Midtechs, all of the work is machined in China, and this is something we've discussed many, many times, but all of the final work, the hand fitting, the hand finishing, all the assembly takes place in Russia. Well, now we know that to actually be a fact, thanks to my custom. So it's really nice to have that validation, because you know what? A lot of people bought into these knives. And a lot of people were worried when they start hearing all of these stories from people that don't really know what they're talking about. Listen, they're not standing in China, they're not standing in Russia, they don't know 100%, they go off of whatever stories they hear from other people. So it's nice to have that validation for those of us that do have the Midtechs. But like I said, you know, now that I've got the custom, and mainly due to its wonderful size and that incredible blade shape, I really don't know how often I'll be carrying the Midtechs, just because this is a more daily friendly, daily usable knife for me. Boy, it sure is a beauty. All right, let me give you some parting shots here, and then we're going to go ahead and call it a day and end the video. Just want to show you the incredible fitment, the beautiful finish work that Alexey has done on this knife. It really is a stunning masterpiece. There's only one downside to this knife. The custom pivot. If the pivot ever comes loose, I have to be super careful. The way it's been done, I can fit a standard screwdriver in there, but it's got to have a super thin blade to fit into that slot if I ever need to tighten it. I just hope that I never do. Never, never, never. You know, we discussed that on the Decepticon too. It's going to be kind of a big deal if that pivot ever loosens. And listen, the more we play with a knife, the more likely it is to get loose at the pivot. It's just the way it works. So I'm just hoping he put a shitload of Loctite in there and I never really have to worry about that. But that's really the only downside I can think of. It's not an impossibility, but it will be a challenge to not bugger up that beautiful titanium pivot. And with that, guys, I'm out of here. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. I'm going to try and squeak out a couple more videos here in the next couple of days. And listen, I'm getting beaten over the head on Instagram about getting a video up on my new Reese Wieland, the Raster. Yeah, I'm going to try to get to a video on that as quick as I can. Try to satisfy that need and desire that's out there. Yeah, it's incredible. It's an amazing knife. I'm just trying to figure out if I can fit the whole beast into frame. We'll see. That might even be my next video. We'll have to see about that. So until then, I'll see you guys. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next video.